You can't make a film, or I couldn't make a film about AI without standing on the shoulders of giants of cinema before, like, you know, Stanley Kubrick, James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, you know, and even works of like Isaac Asimov and all those people. So, but what I was trying to do was kind of grab, when I was growing up, there was an original science fiction film. It felt like every week at the cinema. And it was, I didn't realize how rare that would be. Like, I thought that's just gonna be cinema forever. And then now, like, no offense to anybody, but there's a lot of franchise, a lot of sequels, a lot of, and at one point early in the summer, we knew the strike was coming with the actors and the writers. And we had a big meeting at Disney, should we postpone the movie? And they put up all the films that were coming out this summer and the fall. And the head of Disney, who was marketing, the head guy, was like, this is the only original, not just blockbuster, but the only original film like that's not based on a book or a sequel or a franchise. It's like, we have to do it, right? And it just felt strange, like, how did this happen? Like, how did we get to this place where they're not doing this anymore? And so really it was me trying to take all those movies that I grew up loving and put them all in a pot and stir it and kind of try and, it's a love letter to that time of cinema for me. Yeah, I think that the problem with science fiction is that it's essentially you're doing something very unbelievable. You know, you've got robots and spaceships and things. And so the more believable it is, the better like, everyone's trying to make the most realistic science fiction film. You know, like, people talk about visual effects, you know, trying to make them real. But equally the experience of the filmmaking, you know, trying to make that real as well. And I have a schizophrenic problem because part of me wants to do really, really real, like documentary and handheld and not have not have scripts and just improvise and make it feel really real. Then the other part of me, who grew up with like James Cameron and Spielberg and Kubrick, wants to do very like storyboarded, like beautiful sequences. And so this movie is a combination of those two things, I think, stylistically. Yeah, I think the warning in the movie, I mean, I don't like to warn people. You try to tell a really interesting story, and then there might be some warnings naturally in it, you know. I think the warning, if there's a message in the film, like, that came to me later as we watched it, is that we should have empathy for other people, other things that are different to us, and that most of the problems in the world are when we cannot see someone else's point of view and we just see our own point of view. And so I think that's a bigger problem. That's not AI. Like, we've had that for thousands of years. Like, we always have that problem. And I just was using AI as a metaphor for like people who are different. Yeah, I mean, obviously you learn a lot from Star Wars. It's impossible not to learn. It's like, yeah, it was an amazing experience. But, okay, one of the things I guess we learned was normally on a big movie like that, you were in a studio a lot, filming it against green screen and blue screen. We managed to get out of the studio on Rogue One. We went to Jordan in the deserts, and we went to the Maldives in the tropical beaches, and then we shot some stuff even in London with train station, and changed it in the computer to look like an Imperial base. And they were some of my favorite moments in the movie. And so I wanted to make a whole movie like that, where we went to a different real location for every scene. And that's what we did on this. We went to like 8 different countries. In Thailand alone, we shot in 80 different locations, traveled 10,000 miles, and then added the science fiction on top afterwards. I think that's a common theme in a lot of films, and I think one of the reasons as a filmmaker maybe you gravitate to it is because the studio is like the powerful, you know, imperial kind of, you know, force, And as a filmmaker, you're like the guerrilla fighter trying to fight the machine and win. And you know, it was a big influence on this movie you can see is like the Vietnam War. And that felt like where the big machine that had all the money was not as successful as just the few people on the ground, like fighting more, you know, independently. And to me, that's like cinema, like the studio system versus like the independent film. The independent film tends to make a better movie. And so that conflict, whether it be in movies or in war, you know, it's like everyone in their jobs experiences that. And so it's something you can't really escape, you know?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.